What is something school taught you which turned out to be false? You won't have a calculator in your pocket. College professors would be more strict. Edit. Thank you fellow Redditors for my highest upvoted comment. Ironically, I might fail one of my classes because of a professor. But at least I have upvotes. Seriously. College was super laid back for me compared to high school in terms of interactions with the staff. Hell, one of my professors even transferred to my WoW server and raided with my guild for a bit. I pulled a solid B in that class. Which isn't that bad considering I never studied for it. I was too busy playing WoW with the professor. Just because you are popular doesn't mean you'll be successful. Fuck all. Since graduating college, it's been all about networks and who you know, who likes you. I've literally asked people how they got their job and they said they knew someone that pulled them in with no qualifications or experience. It's a tough pill to swallow. The body cannot produce new nerve brain cells. Turns out neurogenesis is a very real phenomenon. By the way, I was taught that the body cannot make new nervous cells this year in my senior human anatomy class. Long after neurogenesis was discovered. This confused me too when I had nerve damage and the doctor said the nerves would grow back over 3 months. That we had a permanent record. Pretty sure I've read somewhere that it is a thing, but it only has warnings about behavioral issues. A student has. In that after high school it gets deleted. Take this with a salt shaker full of salt. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Teacher here. This is correct. If you move, it gets mailed to your new school as securely as possible. I have handled some massive permanent records. That said, the size of the record says more about the parents than the child. Nutrition. When I started elementary school it was the 4 food groups. By high school it was the food pyramid. And by college it turned into my plate. You can't ever keep up and it constantly changed. So who knows what'll turn into next. The food pyramid one was specifically pushed by lobby groups for the grain industry. It's why the food pyramid had grains as the largest category. And now more reasonable recommendations have it listed in much smaller recommended portions. That grades in elementary and middle school actually matter. I had a 45 in my 5th grade history class at one point. And I loved history. I just didn't like having to memorize the preamble to the Constitution and other pointless things my school made us do. I now read and study history on my own and know far more history than the average person. Only parts of your tongue control the different tastes. You won't get anywhere in life without learning how to write in cursive. Every year in elementary school my teachers said, "You'll learn cursive next year. But I'll teach you a little bit now." That happened until high school when the teacher was surprised that half the class couldn't read cursive. That they're against bullying. All the schools I've been to don't give a shit if someone is doing it. And if you fight back you're the one at fault. Fucking degenerates. That I can be whatever I want when I grow up, sad face. I'm still not a fire truck. And I'm not a ninja turtle unfortunately. I, a white, blonde male, did not grow up to be a muscular black dude with dreads playing professional soccer. Hawaiians wanted to be a territory so they could join the US and become a state and were overjoyed when they achieved statehood. Isn't the story told during luau's about how awful it was that the Hawaiian queen was overthrown and how upset everyone was that Hawaii had to be a state under the US government instead of their own? One teacher told me that men used to give birth. Asterisk asterisk WHAT asterisk asterisk. Edit. She meant biological, cis, human males. Edit 2. For context, I was in 3rd, 2nd grade, age 6 to 7. During a break I was reading something. I don't really remember. I think it was a children's magazine. And then just out of the blue, my teacher went up to me and said, "Did you know that men used to get pregnant and give birth? They were just like mommies." I think your teacher was a seahorse. These are the best years of your life, Dad. Middle school sucks. I know, but when you get into high school it will get a lot better. Middle school me graduating. Hell yeah? High school's gonna be awesome. High school me. This fucking sucks. Dad. I know. But when you get into college it's going to get a lot better. Absence only sex ed. Meanwhile there just aren't sex ed classes anymore. I'm a high schooler and have yet to be taught anything. Here's your lesson. Have fun. Use protection. Always communicate. Focus on pleasing your partner. And don't fuck anyone that doesn't want to be. And when in doubt, ask. You can rely on authority figures to resolve your interpersonal conflicts. Yep. Wait till you get to the real world and they are the cause of the conflicts. I before you accept what they see. Or when sounds like that, as in asterisk, neighbor, and way. And on weekends and holidays. And all throughout May. And you'll always be wrong, no matter what you say. College equals high-paying job. My husband has almost finished his cert in a trade program this year. I have 2 bachelors, an associate's, and a master's. He made $3 per hour more than me in the before time. I feel this so hard. There's a common misconception that dry ice and elemental iodine do not have a melting point. Elemental iodine will melt at 114 C, but there will be so much purple gas due to high vapor pressure that it's difficult to see. Meanwhile, dry ice won't melt at atmospheric pressure. But if you increase the pressure to greater than 5 atmospheres, it should melt into a liquid. Obviously you can't do that unless you have special equipment. Finally someone understands that blood is actually blue. Sorry, what? They taught you that blood is blue? Yeah, when I was in 3rd grade they told me that blood when it's inside your veins are blue. And that it's the interactions with the air when you bleed that turn it red. It's a very common misconception that blood turns blue after the oxygen is spent, solidified by your veins being blue in appearance. My school taught us this too. It turns blue until it reoxygenates in your lungs. Columbus found Americas and named Indians Indians because he thought he was in India. That Napoleon is small and that Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." It's possible that she did, but nothing indicates that she had political leanings that way. "Let them eat cake" is a literal translation of a political slogan. It was a protest against unfair taxes from long before she was born. The closest phrase that most Americans would be familiar with is "no taxation without representation." You will need this for the rest of your life. Hey, I factor polynomials on a daily basis. Quote, "Where do you work?" Quote, "High school math teacher." Quote, "It just turns out that math is just pyramid scheme where the next person is told that they will need this and then the only thing they can do is teach more people for a job that they'll need. LMAO. 2 things. 1. Keep these papers, they're important, don't lose them. I ended up hoarding papers all the way from 1st grade to senior year of high school. 2. If you ever to get a C or into a fight or cheat, you'll never go to college and you'll be blacklisted from applying or attending any of them, monsieur. I didn't really think of the impact these things had on me, and suffice to say I feel like I'm worse off for it. That second one definitely had an impact on me. The first time I started getting poor grades in sophomore year of high school, I pretty much figured my life was over. And I started acting like it. Everything just spiraled from there. That the working adult world is a brutal autocracy, run entirely by slave-driving bosses who are absurdly strict about getting everything done exactly to their specifications. In reality, school was 7 shitty part-time jobs you take home with you and do again at night, but with no guidance. Oh, don't forget that you're a financial and emotional burden on your family by attending rather than bringing in money. The reality of work is that most people just want to get things done comfortably and go home on time. Yeah, high school was actually a 9-to-5 job. I still look in awe at people who even did extracurricular activities in HS and enjoyed them, giving them more opportunities. But it's not just a 9-to-5 job. Everyone I know who has a 9-to-5 job goes home and does hobbies, watches TV, plays with their kids, fucks their significant other. School was having a 9 to 5 and then another one in the evening, where you have no oversight. And if you don't do your night job good enough you get punished. School was working 2 full-time jobs, carrying 50 pounds of textbooks on your back like a fucking pack mule, for no pay and being given no basic human rights. Oh, also your parents can be fined and you can be arrested for not participating. That I was important. You are. But sugar is important to a baker but not to a diabetic. One will love you and cherish you, treasure you, and make the best out of you and out off the miss. Your other would just eat you and then suffer. The thing is you're too sweet to differentiate between these. But you are important to someone no matter what. Greater than sugar is important to a baker but not to a diabetic. Depends on the diabetic. One teacher kept bitching to the class about how boys are horrific perverts and deserve to be burned in hell. She got fired after we got a slip around asking for her resignation. Sent it to the principal. And didn't show up to her class for 3 days. One guy had recorded her saying all that shit. And there was no dispute after that. Some kid at our school took a video of him getting bullied and he got a 10-day suspension for taking a video. Bully got nothing. I had a pretty cool maths teacher in high school. He was a jokester. He made funny jokes. Sometimes did some silly stuff. He was genuinely a really fun guy and serious when it was time to actually work. Everybody really liked Hi Monsieur. It was all fun and games. And work too. Until he suddenly stopped doing all that stuff and became bitter towards us and people's grades started getting a lot worse. Turns out one of the guys in my class reported him to someone because joked about the girl he liked. Jokes that she wasn't offended by and even found funny. The teacher was fired and is now prohibited to work in a high school ever again. That girl's shoulders, collarbones, legs, arms, backs and knees need to be covered so the boys can learn properly. Don't forget the necks. Those damnable sluts showing their necks in 102-degree weather. You need to have a university education to get a job. Man, was this preached at my school. There was a lot of accepted bullying for students who went into community college, trade school, or a manufacturing job. We had a vocational technology school partnered with our high school, and some kids attended classes there to learn trades. The general opinion was that Votech kids were imbeciles destined for a life of menial labor, while the gifted kids took advanced placement biochemistry classes and were on track to be masters of the universe. If I had a time machine, I'd tell my nerd teenage self to skip the AP English and go to Votech and learn how to weld. You can read books on the oil rig. And having 6 figures on your W-2 sure beats having 6 figures of debt. That my government is here for the people. Speaking about suicide drives people to commit suicide. Our school put a policy in place that disallowed any discussions surrounding suicide and mental health. Over the course of 3 years we lost 3 students and 2 teachers to suicide. I'm now studying psychology and work in community services. Speaking about suicide saves lives. Mistakes are not okay. Well, obviously it is. You'll eventually learn from them. That my grade in school will decide my future. And according to that I will be useless person in future. Fuck you all asshole teachers. Teachers aren't biased. I laughed out loud at this. I definitely have favorite students. Surprise, surprise is the ones who try hard and are nice to me. That American Indians were savages who just gave us land then sporadically fought over it. Textbooks these days won't even include most of the fighting or violence. Thank heavens my mom talked to me about what I was learning and set the record straight. I learned more about true American history from my own mother at home than the school system assure. To this day these widely known facts are being ignored in schools and most other places. The fuck? I'm in my 30s, and I remember learning about all sorts of America's misdeeds. Everything from smallpox blankets to McCarthyism. I figured we'd only be progressing. Have these things been taken out? School textbooks are very rarely standardized across the country. A school district can shop for the textbook that pushes whatever agenda they want. If they want it sanitized American history textbook, it's relatively easy to get a hold of. One of my GCSE units was called The American West. It taught us everything from 1837 to the closing of the frontier in the 1980s. Talking to some of my American friends, a lot are clueless about how badly the natives were treated by the US and Europeans. Their education on it was incredibly biased, which is sad that they aren't even taught all of their own country's history. I was taught about almost every battle and treaty and why both sides did wrong. I am in no way saying that either side was completely innocent in this. I am British. We're taught that we were evil for most of history. From colonization to genocides and the Opium Wars. Nothing is sugar-coated or hidden from us. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.